You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to The Spectral Zone with host Kaz Rooney.
Good evening everyone and welcome to the Spectral Zone on Parasearch Radio. As always, I'm your host, Kaz Rooney, and tonight Kerry Greenaway is joining me. Hello Kerry.
Hello love, alright. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, how are you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Well, tonight we're going to talk about soul connections.
Apparently so.
Now, Kerry wants to turn this into a love fest.
Oh dear.
Valentine's Day, but it's not going to be like that, I promise. So, Kerry.
Yes, love.
What is your take on soul connections?
Well, are we... see, there's so many fine definitions between all of these, isn't there?
The soulmate, the soul groups.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things. I mean, I've heard soul connections, soul mates, companion mates. I've heard all sorts of things, and it all sort of comes under the same banner. And this one for me is generally when somebody has that. It's almost like when you meet somebody. It doesn't have to be in a relationship. This is just like even a friend or somebody you meet, you get that instant connection with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Where it's like you just know them from somewhere, and you just click. You know what I mean. I've got this with my best friend. My best friend's a girl. And she's just like, we've been friends for oh God, too many years. And it doesn't matter if we're not always in each other's lives. When we go through a stage of life where her life is very different from my life, yet we'll phone each other up once or twice a week. And it's like there's no gap, there's no difference. And we've always said we're soulmates. Do you know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter what happens or where we are in the world or, as soon as we phone each other up, we're there and we just get each other. There's no judgment either. Do you know what I mean? Between each other. And so although we're very different, we accept each other completely for our flaws and our good bits. Do you know what I mean? The good stuff and the bad stuff. But we are connected in a way that neither of us have ever been able to explain. And that we felt that from the very first instance we met each other.
Now, I have a take on this.
Okay.
My take on this is, now, when you're talking about soulmates, just to clarify, your soulmate is not meant to be the love of your life. It doesn't mean it's the love of your life. Your soulmate can be your friend, your sister, your cousin. And in fact, you're probably going to have several different soulmates as you go through your life. You're not going to have just one. It doesn't work like that. But my take on this is when we connect with someone and you know them and they know you, you don't need to explain it, you just get each other.
Yes, yeah, you just completely get it. Yeah.
You've known each other before. Now that brings in the reincarnation thing though.
Okay.
But I honestly think there is soul groups that literally connect with each other in different lifetimes.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think you're right there, because I've definitely, when I first met her, and I'm going to use, so her name's Katie, so I'm going to call her by her name, because it feels rude saying my friend. When I first met her, it was that instant connection, and that has been unbreakable since. And we've had some huge humdingers of a rows, you know what I mean? But we've always been able to work our way through that. And but there was that instant connection, and there still is, even now. Do you know what I mean? And this is like 35 years, oh, yeah, must be, God, down the line, you know what I mean? She just gets everything about me, and she's so... The relationship is so empowering for each other. Yeah. And she says the same about me. I'm her rock, she's my rock. And I've been through some things in my life that there's no way I would have survived if it hadn't have been for Katie. And I'm pretty sure she feels the same way. She allows me to be and shows me how to be the best I can be. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? She completely empowers me, and that's how I see a soulmate. More, I think when I started breaking it down, when you said we want to talk about soul connections, I started looking at the different types of relationships you have in your life. People come, people go. Yeah. I believe that everybody comes into your life for a reason. Yeah. Sometimes to teach you a lesson, sometimes for you to teach them a lesson, sometimes to heal that part inside of you. But as I say, I think a soulmate, they may not always be there, but you know that there was that instant connection. And I had a friend years ago, his name was Jez. And again, he was one of those people you had that instant connection with. He passed quite a few years ago now. And there was like that instant connection. And we would sit up all night talking and laughing and just accepting and not... It was so... it's so unexplainable, that bond that was felt. Do you know what I mean? And so, yes, I agree. I think you can have more than one soulmate in your life. I don't think they necessarily all stay. I say I'm very blessed. I've still got Katie. Yeah, I'm very blessed. I've still got Katie, but I haven't got Jez now. But for some reason, and it doesn't happen a lot. You could meet 100 people. You can go out for an evening, meet loads of different people and not feel a connection with anybody. You'll have a good time and you'll like people, but it's a connection, and it's a heart. You can't explain that connection that you feel, but it's there.
But that's the thing, don't you find, though? What I have found in my experience is you don't need to explain the connection. No. You just know there is that connection. Mm-hmm. It's just something that's known by the parties involved in it. They just know each other. They get each other. Don't need to explain things. Don't need to talk about things. You just know.
Yeah. I agree. I think the past life thing, again, see, this is sort of... It's almost quite airy-fairy, isn't it, when we talk about these things, because they're very... You can't prove it. You can't prove it.
We can't prove it. We can only say what we
think. So how we feel and what you think. And you can't equate a feeling. You can't measure that feeling. You can't do an equation and it gives you that on a graph of what you feel. So it feels very airy-fairy and very new agey, talking about these different kinds of relationships. But as time's gone on, people are defining different forms of relationships you have with people in a lot more they're giving them titles, they're boxing them almost, aren't they? Putting them into a box. And soulmates is one of those. There's loads. But soulmates...
The messages I've had this week from people who are, because of the witchcraft, magic, the cult group, because of they're looking for their soulmate, because it's coming up to Valentine's Day. And they keep going on about, I'm still looking for my soulmate. And they think that automatically means the love of their life. Yeah. They don't equate it to being, it could be someone else. It's got to be the love of their life. That's why this week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the term is misunderstood because your soulmate can appear in many forms. You know what I mean? I mean, we had a sound bath a couple of years ago now, and in that sound bath, Katie was one of those, and she out of that, we were talking about past lives, and she, in her sound bath, came through, it was like you go through like a journey in a sound bath, and she said, I know that with my family, I've been with them all before.
Yeah.
I've chosen to be with the same family, as it were, like my mum, my dad, her sister, not her sister, her brother, sorry, God, before. So for her, they've got that soulmate connection amongst them as a family. And if you ever met them, they're like the closest family I think I've ever come across in my life. Do you know what I mean? I've seen close families, but this is uncannily close. They're a yardstick you're never, ever going to hit, as it were. Do you know what I mean? Because they are so, so close. No, that's a lot of hard work. It's taken a lot of time, I would say, for them. But for some reason, that bond is there between all of them. And through this sound bath, she recognised that it's not a bond that they've built necessarily through this life. It's an ongoing bond from past lives. Yeah. And again, it sounds so airy-fairy, but that's what she took out of that. And she went into that sound bath not asking that. She just sort of went in open-minded to the experience, and that's what she got out of that. So the amount of people that have past life experiences or regression, and then they come across a past life. I mean, I think I heard Claire Hinks. I was talking to Claire the other week, and she said that she went to a past life meditation, and everybody was coming out with like what you would expect. Oh, I was a Red Indian. I was a this. I was a Cleopatra. I was, you know. You
get that problem though with people saying they've been reincarnated. They've always been someone famous.
Yeah. Well, she didn't. She got like this normal, everyday person, and when they was all talking after the meditation about the experiences they had, she was talking to the person that had led it. And she said, oh, God, I feel a bit weird. She goes, because I didn't get that. She goes, I just got normal, like a normal person living a normal life. And he went, out of everybody here, you probably had the most real past life experience, because we couldn't have all been Cleopatra. We can't all be Native Americans. We can't all have been, you know, I don't know, King Henry VIII, for example, or these main figures. So he goes, you've probably had the realest past life experience than all the others here. He said, there is a difference between almost like what your subconscious will kick in to a past life experience, almost like what you wish you were. I mean, gosh, I know exactly what I was in a past life if I wanted to be, you know what I mean? But in reality, the chances are I was probably like a street urchin or something like that, because the majority of day-to-day lives are going to be normal people living normal lives. They're not going to be these big historical figures and stuff like that from a past life. And that's where the point is. The point is, in my past life, I could have met somebody, or I could have met Katie in a past life, reincarnated into this life, and that's why my soul is connected with her, because we recognise each other from experiences we've lived in that past life. Yeah. That's given us our connection. I mean, they talk about something called a kindred spirit, which I'm sure we'll go on to later a bit more. But that's a bond that's formed through a difficult or traumatic experience. Yeah. And if you've had that in a past life with another soul, why hasn't that bond come through into this life? Why would it not?
You would think it would follow you.
You think it would, wouldn't you?
I think it would.
Oh.
I believe it would.
I think so.
But, I mean, when this subject got brought up, it was important for me with the whole soulmate thing going on this week.
Love is in the air. Everywhere you look around. Yeah, it's been a week, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not turning this into a love fest. Behave yourself.
Oh, damn.
I swear, if you do, I'm going to make you sing that whole song from start to finish.
Oh my God, nobody wants to hear that now, do they?
Well, you never know. But this was brought up. There is so many people, I can't speak for everyone else, but I have people that I'm close to, and for some reason, I don't know how, I just know I know them. Mm. Now, I would consider them soulmates, because for some reason, my soul recognises their soul. Yeah. And it's like I have shared experiences with them before, And that's why I had made this big post about your soulmate is not necessarily the love of your life. It could be your friend, it could be your cousin, it could be, you're going to have many, many soulmates.
Yeah.
And a thing called soul groups, which is people that basically you have agreed to go through your lives and reconnect with all the time. I do believe that. I do believe there are soul groups.
So within a soul group, would you all have that connection with each other? Because I've not come across a soul group before, but then I'm quite solitary, so I don't really mingle with people that much.
You think the people who are around you or are part of your life, who are close to you, you basically feel. I mean, like, I've got friends I've been friends with for years and years and years, like you with Katie.
Yeah.
I consider them part of my soul group because for some reason we've just always had this link. But it could be I connect to one, but that one connects to another one, which connects that one to me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I would say, out of all the friends I've got, I would say that Katie probably is the only soul mate. I've got other people, obviously, and there's a big group of them, but I wouldn't class them as my soul mates. I would class them as extended, good friends. Don't get me wrong, I'm not underestimating that connection at all, but if everybody else disappeared off the face of the earth, for example, I know that Katie wouldn't. You know what I mean? For example, I'm just using that relationship as an example. Jez, on the other hand, was the person that would come in and out. He was never in my life all the time. He was a traveller, so he'd come in, not a traveller in that sense, but like hippie. He was a bit hippie, so he would sort of come in for a couple of weeks and disappear off for a month or two, and then all of a sudden he would just appear back, and that connection was still. There'd be no. It didn't feel like it had been 2 months, 3 months, 6 months that he'd been gone for, and he would never actually go. Right, I'm off. See you later. He would just go, but there was no judgment. Yeah, he would. He would just disappear. But there was no. Where the hell have you been? It was just Jet. It was that instant connection again when we saw each other, and he felt the same because we had many late night, in-depth discussions with each other, and he was just that kind of character. So that. I think the most important part of a soulmate, and I agree, we're not talking about a love relationship. We're talking about having a connection with a person that is with another soul. And it's not just, I really like you, you're really nice, I can get on with you, I can have fun with you. It's about...
not like that you instantly know each other.
Exactly. It's that instant, I know you from somewhere. You know what I mean? I don't know where. I know I've never ever met you in my life, but I feel you, and it's. I would say the first time I distinctly remember the first time I met Katie was I had a couple of friends. They were going to work in Spain.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I had a job here and I was working in the UK and I had the offer to go to work in Spain and I decided not to go. And I was thinking, God, all my mates are going to Spain to work. I'm going to be left on my own. And literally, we was at the bar and we were saying, it was the night they were leaving. And this is how, it's funny how people come into your life sometimes as well. Right time, right place, we talk about a lot. Is it the right time, the right place, blah, blah. Right? Yeah. Literally, we're at the bar. This is the night before they go. So we're all having a big party. There's loads of people out at the bar. Katie's actually working behind the bar at this point. Yeah. And she was like, oh, guys, I can't believe you're going and that. And she goes, oh, are you going? And I was like, no, I'm not going. She went, never mind, you can come out with me. And that is it. And we had barely spoken before that point. And I was like, oh, okay, great. No worries. She gave me her number. Anyway, they went off on their merry way to Spain and I was upset because all my friends had disappeared to Spain. Went out with her that night. And you know what? It felt like that pre-friend social had never happened.
Yeah.
That night I went, that very first night, and I did not know her from Adam. at that point. She was like, literally, somebody had served me a drink a couple of times behind the bar. We'd never really spoken. But literally, her going, don't worry, come out with me. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, we went out that night and it was like we laughed and we were joking. And there was just that instant connection. And it was, I can't explain it. And then we were inseparable. Those were clubbing years. But, yeah, I can't explain that instant connection.
Kerry's clubbing years.
Yeah, oh God, infamous. The infamous clubbing years. Katie was there for the ride. But you know what I mean? Yeah, I know. There's a lot of history there now. Now there is. But when we look back to when we first sort of like started going out, I mean, it really was like, and we bring, even to this day, bring the best out in each other when we get together. And as I say, it's not as much as it used to be because our lives are so completely different. And there have been periods in our life where we've sort of like drifted apart a little bit, but we've always had that pull back, that pull back. And that's what I see a soulmate is. And she is not a love interest at all. She's my best friend. I say I call her my rock, you know, and she says the same back, and I'd be lost without her. And that is what I class as a true soulmate. I get worried when people are going around trying to find their soulmate because you can't just dig one up from under.
They appear when they're supposed to be.
Exactly,
when they're supposed to reconnect.
Exactly. They will come back into your life when you least expect it. And like I say, in the most unexpected ways sometimes. Right at that perfect moment. It's always at a perfect moment. Yeah. When you look, it may not feel it at that particular point, but when you look back, you go, actually, that could have happened more providently. Do you know what I mean? It is that particular moment, and things will click in. Like you'll finish each other's sentences, and you'll phone them, and they'll go, "Oh, I was just about to phone you."
Do you know what? One of my friends, well, I mean, we've been friends for a lot of years, but literally could text me hello, and I could text back hi, and literally my phone will go and she'll turn around and go, "What's wrong?" And I'll go, "What?"
Yeah.
Because she just knows. And it isn't because I don't use the word hi or hello, or it isn't the way I've worded it, just for some reason she gets completely how I am by the way I respond to her.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? I just find it is incredibly strange. It's very intuitive, I think, a soulmate thing. It's an incredibly intuitive thing. I call it, I sort of like, it's almost like part of your spiritual family that's come back to you. Is kind of how I would see a soulmate. It's completely different from other forms of connection that you would get. I feel anyway with soulmates. It annoys me. I want to just say this though. It annoys me with the spell thing. Yeah, you can you can do a ritual spell thing and ask the universe, very, very airy fairy thinking, I suppose you want to call it. But you could put that intention out there to meet somebody, but you can't call in a soulmate or a twin flame because those are above that level. They're at a more higher consciousness level. Yeah. And you shouldn't be calling a soulmate or a twin flame or a kindred to your life because they will come. They will come naturally. That is something that's going to come naturally. Yeah,
they're meant to appear.
And a love spell will not work. Because you can't. Love spells are usually because you've fallen, you've had somebody that you got your eye on, and or you've broken up with somebody. People tend to go for the love spell thing and for the wrong reasons. You can't affect someone's free will. What you can do is put out an intention that you want to meet somebody on an emotionally connected relationship front.
Yeah.
But you can't put stipulations on it. You know what I mean?
True. Right, listen, just to keep you happy with your love fest thing.
Exactly, love fest. See? Valentine's Day's just been.
I have got to read this out just because laugh so much. It did make me laugh. Right, Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
dating to the 5th century,
Yeah.
and named after a certain religious martyr. Right, the holiday was reclaimed from ancient Roman fertility celebration called Lupercalia, which took place from February 13th to the 15th.
Uh-huh.
Now, listen, people, this is enough to put you off Valentine's Day. During the celebration, the Romans would sacrifice one dog, one goat, and then use the hides to whip the women.
Use the what?
They used the hides of the goat and the dog to whip the women.
Bloodfest?
And who says that romance is dead?
Is that where all the red comes from in Valentine's Day?
So that's as much as you get in your love fest thing.
Oh, okay. God, you just ruined the moment.
No, I haven't. Trust me, I've saved it. Trust me. Now, you brought up a couple of times about twin flames.
Yes, twin flames.
Twin flames.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my take on this is, well, twin flames are a very high spiritual connection.
Yeah, very intense.
It's a very intense connection. It's not always a good connection.
Nope.
It can be a very, very bad connection, but it is a very, very intense one.
Yeah. You'd only get one of these, by the way.
You'll only get one twin flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get lots. You get one. You can get lots of soulmates, but only one twin flame. This is the mirror image of yourself. Will show you the best and the worst of yourself. It'll bring stuff up in you that needs to be healed. They can be really. I nearly swore there. They can be incredibly empowering, but also incredibly destructive as well. Because and they're very, like we said, very intense. So intense that it is too much. Do you know what I mean? It burns out very, very quickly, but then you still have that connection, so you go back. You know what I mean? So it becomes a push and a pull kind of scenario.
Yeah. The thing is, with twin flames, what I've actually found, like you said, there is this very intense connection. But people who are twin flames, when they do connect, seem to have a higher spiritual awakening.
Oh gosh, yeah. Because they challenge everything in you. So they push you further than you've ever been. They'll test your boundaries. They'll which is why it can be so destructive, because if you're not ready for that testing, it can bring up a load of insecurities, but you reflect back on each other.
Yeah.
So you do the same to them as they do to you, and it can be incredibly empowering, but incredibly destructive as well. But it does push you. It does break your boundaries. It does. But the intensity. Sorry.
If someone is an empath, when they meet the twin flame, sadly, I've found this a lot. The twin flame tends to be a narcissist.
Yeah.
They tend to attract. It's like opposites attracting.
Yeah.
They may be the same, but it's like different sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. So you've got the nice empathic side, and you've got the harsh,
self-centeredness, and that reflection is not a positive reflection.
No, it is not.
Because they're reflecting out all the insecurities and self-control and self-centeredness back onto you, and it's not nice. I do think that you're right there. I think when twin flames do come together, it can be, if you've got a twin flame that is just not a narcissist, but is just like a normal person, but you come together, you burn out so quickly because it's so intense. It gets too much sometimes. I think that's the problem for normal life. See, this is me embracing my fully spiritual side. I do find that you'll always have in a twin flame situation one that is naturally more spiritual than the other. You'll have one that's a lot more practical, And it's not so much a balance. There's not so much a balance. There's always a push and a pull, all the time between the two of you. And it's intense. We keep saying the word intense, but that is so.
Have you met your twin flame?
Have I met my twin flame?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why? You don't need to explain, have you?
I'm not sure.
At some point in your life, have you met your twin flame?
Not today. I wouldn't say.
Not
I don't.
yet.
I'm not sure on that one. No, not to. No, I'm not answering that question. I've met a narcissist. I've had a narcissist relationship, but I wouldn't have said that was my twin flame.
About twin flames, there seems to be some sort of link between birthdays as well. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, there is. There is a synchronicity.
There's something next the birthdays. Do you know the weirdest thing? I always classed my second husband as my twin flame because it was that intense, it was that kind of relationship. But we were born exactly 9 months apart.
Yeah.
9 fucking months. Couldn't have timed that better, could you?
That is like weird, isn't it? I don't know is the answer to that question. I think I would know if I had met them, but
but would you?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question, Kat. Oh my God.
Really?
Possibly. Huh?
Are you actually stuck for words?
Yes, I am stuck for words. We'll go with that.
Yeah. We'll just go with she's not answering.
Yeah, I'm not answering that question. I just know that there is that instant connection. There is that intensity. There is that cord that can't be dissolved for some reason. There is that
it can.
reflection. That reflection. Yeah, you burn it. No, there is a reflection within both of you to each other of good and bad. I know that it can be completely empowering and yet completely destructive. Yeah. I know that they challenge you in certain ways. I know that they push you spiritually, like they push you higher spiritually. And
Well, I mean, talking about soul connections and twin flames, my take on it is you go through a series of relationships that are teaching you until you come across the twin flame. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yes, I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a fun show.
It's fun. But think about it.
No, I agree with you.
Just because you don't want to answer the question, Kerry.
I've got my tongue in my cheek, everybody, by the way. No, I do. I think you're right. Oh, honestly. Yes, I do think you're right. I think you get prepared through other relationships that you come across.
To deal with that.
So when you do come across your twin flame, I do think that that's to a point, but then I don't think there's any amount of preparation that you can do until you live that moment, until you live that connection, because it is like a goddamn hurricane when it comes in.
Yeah.
It is so incredible. I know we use that word. We use that word intense, and that's the only word I can use. You literally, you find a person would find themselves acting in a way they would never normally act.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Under certain circumstances. I mean, oh God, listen to life coaches or relationship coaches, and I have to say, a twin flame does seem to be more on a relationship basis than it does on a soulmate level.
Yeah, it does.
It's more of a relationship thing. Yeah, like two from the same. I do believe, going back, God, I remember, was it Plato that wrote something about, I don't know, I've read so much. he equated it to one soul that has been to survive. It needed to split into two, but at some point they would come back together again. And because they're two parts of the whole, they have that connection. But because they're like two of the same, but apart, it's hard to meld it back together again. So it's possible. It takes a lot of work. And if it comes together at the right time, at the right place, which is not often actually with twin flames. Yeah. Very rarely do they come together at the perfect time, at the perfect place. Yeah. But they will push you to that next step. I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible for a relationship to work between twin flames, but it's an intensely...
It can work, but it's a highly intense
situation. You both have to be really ready for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, completely ready for it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But to save you going on about twin flames, because I'm getting all sorts of faces and hand directions. They're all sorts pulled at me.
I'm pointing and trying to remember stuff. And
Stop this. We'll talk again about soulmate groups. Mm-hmm. So if certain people are meant to come into your life at certain times, they have a big impact in your life. Yeah. They come into your life to change your life in some way, or progress your life in some way.
Yeah, they do. But it's an easier process because they're so, like we've said before, they're non-judgmental, and it's an empowering relationship. Yeah. Whereas, like, as I say, if you want to equate it to something, it's like, I don't know. I'll tell you what I read today. It was a really good analogy, actually, between the two. Now, think of your energy signature as a piece of cloth. Yeah. A twin flame is where your energy signature has been split in two and the other part has disappeared. Yeah. And your soulmates are little parts of that cloth. So when you come together, they fit into those little holes perfectly. Yeah. When your twin flame comes in, it joins you, but it takes a lot of weaving to get that whole to one. Does that make sense? And so
because you've got all these relationships that have gone before.
Exactly.
You've come to meet your twin flame.
It's I find relationships on any level, and I'm not talking about man, woman, or whatever whatever floats your boat. Any relationship, I find them incredibly interesting. Because you'll get somebody who you go, oh God, physically or whatever, they just don't seem to do it. And then you start talking to them and then all of a sudden you've got that connection. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's sometimes it's the people you least expect you have that intense connection with.
But this is why I think people misinterpret what a soul connection is.
Yeah, I agree.
This is why they think when they talk about soulmates, it needs to be the love of your life, whatever. You're going to have so many different soulmates as you go through life for different things.
Yeah, totally.
They come into your life for different things to change your life in different ways.
Yeah. But this is where it goes. This is where it all comes under the banner of karmic relationships, doesn't it? Yes. Because they come in to teach you a lesson, and they may stay for a while. They may get off. I mean, my friend Jez used to say things like, life is a roller coaster. Some people get on the ride for longer. Some people can't handle the ride and get off. And some people will fix the ride. Yeah. And some people will admire the ride but never get on the ride. And you know what I mean? He would use that kind of analogy. And I've always seen life as like that since he said that. This was a late night discussion. We'll go with just... discussion rather than putting a title on what type of discussion that was. But that's the analogy he used, and that's how he lived his life. He would come in and out of people's lives, and sometimes he'd be so profound and fix something without even trying to fix it, and other times he'd remove a screw and leave it a bit more rickety than it was. But and that was the analogy he used. And You know, little things like that. And I think that's so true. You don't get... Some people stay on the ride longer. Some people come and go. But I've learned, when I look back, bearing in mind I'm a lot older than most of you, believe it or not, is that literally I can look back and I've met some incredible people that I never ever thought would leave my life, but have.
Yeah. But the people that you've met and have had that impact on your life as a soulmate, it's been profound. It stays with you your whole life.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave.
Yeah. There's not many that I can go... I mean, I'm bearing in mind I've done a lot of clubbing, and I've done a lot of like pubbing, and I've done a lot of meeting people. I do it through the paranormal. I do it through, you know, I've always gone out and met lots of new people. There's not many where I can go, that person had an effect on my life. That person did this. That person said that at that particular moment, and it changed a mindset. You know what I mean? It's when you look back and you pinpoint certain points in your life, certain memories of people that may not be in your life anymore. Some of them still are. I'm lucky enough to have some of them still around me. But like with Jez, with that analogy that he used, I remember that discussion. I remember where we were, what we were doing, how it felt. You know what I mean? We were sitting on the seawall. We were doing what we were doing, and it wasn't a physical relationship. It was just a friendship.
Yeah.
And we would have had a great night. There would have been loads and loads, a huge group of people around us. But always it ended up with me and Jez having profound discussions under the starlight, usually in the summer, on the seawall, talking profound, deep, meaningful conversations. But of all the conversations we've had, should I say, because to say he passed, that one about the roller coaster sticks with me. And that, to me, is a sign of he had that impact on me. Was he a soulmate? I would say but he was a short-term soulmate. He came in like a flame, and then left. You know what I mean? And it was incredibly profound, that period of time where Jez was in and out of my life. Katie has been there as a constant. She's a soulmate. We've said that for years.
Yeah.
We have said that for years. We clicked. We still do. You know, we'll phone each other up and, you know, how many times her husband has said, you need to put the phone down now, and then somebody needs to phone the other one back, because if you go over an hour, we start being charged on minutes. So stop the phone call now and then call each other, and we'll be on the phone. It's never a quick phone call with Katie. It's always 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? Or an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then if she comes round, she'll be looking at the clock like 3 or 4 hours later and go, oh, God, I've got to get the kids' dinner on. Mark's going to go crazy. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, for God's sakes, every time you two get together, it's like never ending. Do you know what I mean? But it's because we could talk all night and it never be a problem.
But see, that's the thing. I mean, I've got a cousin. Now, bear in mind, I've got a huge family. Huge family.
Scottish.
My mum is one of 5 kids. My dad was one of 6.
Blimey.
So we've got a huge family. And I have this cousin, I won't say which cousin, because it could offend other cousins. I have this cousin, and my whole life, I've just always known her, and she's always known me. And literally, we fell out for quite a few years. We didn't speak for quite a few years, all caused by someone else. But literally, when we started speaking again, it's like we never missed a step.
Yeah, and that is what a soulmate... That's where I see a soulmate more than a twin flame. Yeah, that's the difference between the two.
Yeah.
You know, it's like twin souls, sort of step... You always have that connection, but you not necessarily always have an extended time with that person.
No.
But you'll only ever get one. And once you come out of it, it'll change you forever.
Oh yeah, it changed me for the better.
Changed you forever.
Change it can, but I mean, some twin flame relationships work They do work.
Yes, they do. They do. If you can work through it, if you can work through that intensity, I think that depends on how much work you've done on yourself.
Maybe.
I think that's the key to that point, is you are both at that point, because as I say, twin flames will come sort of like generally wrong time, wrong place, or right.
They can turn up like a tornado.
Yeah, and totally throw your life upside down.
Yes, completely.
Yeah, don't they just? But they are a complete reflection of yourself. They will show you the best and the worst of yourself. Yeah. And that can sometimes be really hard to take. If you're not in that place where you've done the internal work and the, if you've not done that work, I mean, you're always evolving, you're always changing. We always say, look at yourself, look at how you deal with stuff. You're responsible for your own actions. You can't be responsible for somebody else's. Don't judge other people by your own standards, because everyone's different. You know what I mean? Fault and responsibility are two different things. And sometimes, sometimes it's really hard to differentiate between that. And so when somebody comes in, like a twin flame, and they're reflecting all your worst fears, I suppose, and all your best qualities. Yeah. They're reflecting both. They're both sides, the best and the worst of you. And you're doing the same to them. Unless you have done some internal work to recognise those traits within yourself.
You're not going to survive it.
You wouldn't survive it.
It's not going to survive.
And the relationship's not going to survive either. Yeah, so you both have to sort of be receptive to that. So it can. That's why it sometimes doesn't work, because if one side of that mirror is not recognising in themselves the good and the bad, then or you're fearful of it, or you're blocking it for whatever reason, or you don't want to face that part of your own inner personality, because we all have good or bad.
Of course we do.
You know.
No, Angel.
No. Well, I am.
No, you're not, Kerry.
Oh, no, I am. I have halo and wings and everything. Can't you see them?
Yeah, in black.
No one talks about colour when I chose. Yeah, just putting it out there. No, I think, I mean, we're joking. But I think if you're very insecure as a person and you meet somebody who's reflecting your insecurity and you're not prepared to face that kind of insecurity, then it is scary. Yeah. And it brings those fears up in you. And most people run away from fear. They won't confront their own inner fear.
That's true, but in order for you to grow spiritually, you're going to have to at some point.
That's for a spiritually awakened person saying that, though, Kaz.
Yeah,
you know that. Exactly, you know that. I know that. But say you're like a muggle. Yeah, bless them. Bless the muggles out there. Yeah, if you're not open to spiritual... Yeah. I mean, bless her. My sister, she's not spiritual at all, really. She's quite, lives in the day-to-day, very, very intelligent girl. Doesn't profess to any particular faith, just, lives her life normally. Is not spiritual at all. And so when I talk to her about these kind of things, you can almost see her eyes glaze over. It's airy-fairy, new age crap. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, it's no basis in fact. It's not important. So if she came across her twin flame and it's reflecting all her fears to her, she's more likely to not want to deal with that than deal with that.
Yeah, true.
Having said that, she's incredibly good at psychology, so I don't know. She may well. But we all know, face your fear. Whatever that fear is.
But the thing is, I think everyone gets to a point where spiritually, whether they want to grow or not, they will eventually be forced into that position. They are going to grow.
I agree.
They're going to recognise things. Whether they want to or not, they're going to recognise things and going to have a good, long, hard think.
But is that a natural psychological progression, or is that... See, we've chosen to look at it in a spiritual way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how me and you work. We'll look at it in a spiritual way. Whereas a psychologist would look at it more as that's just part of natural growth, and your experiences shape your personality as you go through life. Everyone goes through different phases in your life. You know, I mean, the age I am, my parents still consider me as a teenager, quite frankly. You know, I'll always be the baby of the family, and that's got nothing to do with my age. That's to do with my maturity level. And it's like, oh, God, Kerry's off again. Do you know what I mean? Because I will deal with things in a very different way to somebody else. You know what I mean? But then on some levels, I can be a lot more maturer.
Yeah.
I may not be as intellectual as my sister. I can't rattle off names and dates and studies and statistics and stuff like my sister can. But, so I'm a lot more what's classed as airy, fairy, spiritual. But that resonates with me. That's what I do. That's who I am. That's where I work at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make her less in any way, shape or form. It just means her experiences have shaped her in a different way.
Yeah.
But I agree. She will always evolve, or we always evolve and change. And depending on the experiences we go through and how we view those experiences will depend on what we get out of the people we meet and the relationships and the life happenings.
Yeah.
You know, because if something bad happens, I know, even if I don't recognise there's a lesson in there, I know there is a lesson there. And I may not always know the reason why that person came in and then left so abruptly. I may not always know why somebody I thought was so close turned on me. And I can make assumptions.
Yeah.
But I may not always know the reasons why.
But maybe you're not meant to know the reasons why.
Sometimes you're not meant to know. And that's where trust and faith come in, honey.
That is very true.
And isn't that one of the hardest things? Blind faith, blind trust.
But you talking about your sister,
when
I look at it, I'm the eldest child. So I've always believed in spirit.
Yeah.
And there's been this kind of battle going on. Not so much maybe with my mum. My mum's more accepting, but when my dad was alive, it was a bit of a battle. It was kind of like, but he knew exactly where I was headed. I think that's why he tries to stop that. But my little sister is the can't do anything wrong one.
I was the one that did everything wrong.
Yeah, so was the eldest. But my brother's the worker. And we all seem to have these different roles, but together all these different souls in different roles made a family.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's all connected.
Oh, completely. I mean, me and my sister have great discussions. We don't often agree on things. And in an argument, she always wipes the floor with me because she can come out with more sensible discussions in the family perspective. Yeah. And I always end up going, well, it's all down to the lizard people. You know this, don't you? The lizard overlords. That's my final argument on the subject when they're not listening to what I've got to say. Because I can't prove what I say. And that's a lot to do with family setups and family dynamics and how, how that family relationship has evolved throughout the years. And even now, I'll always go to the lizard overlords to close the argument, and then they all tut and roll their eyes and stuff, and I go, you can't prove it. You can't prove any of it. You can't prove that. You can do as many tests and statistics as you like, but it's a snapshot of it's a snapshot at the end of the day. But I find it fascinating, the relationship between people, and I do think everybody comes into your life for a reason.
Everyone connects for a reason.
Everybody connects to you for a reason. Some people will come in for a longer time than others. Some people will stay for a lifetime. And I think those relationships, the lifetime relationships, are just brilliant, aren't they?
Do you know what? Talking about families, as you know, I've got 5 kids. Mm-hmm. My sister has 4. My brother has 4. But the youngest in the family, Kirsten, my niece Kirsten, is totally obsessed with the paranormal. And she thinks it's fantastic.
I'll tell you a funny... Sorry, carry on.
And I keep calling him a little ghost hunter in training. And I guess everyone's back up.
I'll tell you a funny story today. I'm later on tonight. I'm doing a show with Jay on Paramania to do with Ouija boards, and I was having a look around about Ouija boards, and I came across an online Ouija board, right, which is classic, absolutely hysterical. Have a play, because all I can say was that we had hours of fun on that one. My 2 sons came down, and the difference between the 2 of them. Leo believed it completely, that this situation was real, and whatever question, whatever answer came out was like the real one. And then my son came down and went, right, it's an app, doesn't mean nothing. The sensible one. And then he started questioning why it would work. Why would this work? And I went, there you go, there's my paranormal investigator. Why? Why does that work? Why is that supposed to work? What's the theory behind that? Well, there's my little paranormal investigator in making.
Yeah,
it's funny.
You need to train him up now.
He's gagging to come out on a ghost hunt with me.
Well, why don't you take him?
He's 13. And a wuss. I just want to add that in.
Well, yeah, right.
And when he's older, time and a place. No, I actually don't think you should take children onto investigations, in my opinion.
No,
I think, God, we know how boring they can be, for one. And secondly, I think mentally and emotionally, you need to be at a certain. You need to be at a certain point, and I don't think
maturity.
Yeah, I mean, he is very mature for his age, but I still wouldn't take him until, well, I would actually say like late teens, early 20s.
Well, wait and see how it pans out.
Well, yeah, obviously.
You've got to wait and see how it pans out. You can't really make a judgment now when he's 13, can you?
Well, yeah, we'll see. Well, we're going to talk about kindred spirits before we disappear off for the evening.
Go for it.
Well, these kindreds are bonds that are formed through a circumstance or an experience more than anything else, or trauma. Yeah, where you've got that you get that bond because of something you've gone through together, or they've gone through the same experience. So, for example, you have a major disaster and you get through that disaster together, and then you've got that unbreakable bond because you've lived that experience. Or you've met somebody that's been through the same experience as you. You get these kind of kindred spirit kind of bonds with things like, we see it in drug abuse, when someone's gone through that program and you come out the other side, and you're in recovery, and you get that bond with a former user, and they've got that bond because they've been through the same experience. Or domestic abuse. You'll meet somebody in a hostel somewhere, and because you've been through the same sort of experience, you will have that bond, or you'll build that bond. And that is a completely different kind of soul connection.
Again, it's a
brand.
trauma.
It's a brand new connection, not a soul connection. It's a brand spanking new one. And it's always born out of a difficult or traumatic experience that you live in this incarnation.
Yeah. Not
a previous incarnation, whereas I believe the other two are more previous soul connections.
Kind of old souls that keep reconnecting.
Yeah, I agree.
So everyone who has been going on about soulmates this week, have a little look round about you. Look at the people that's in your life. Look at the connections you've got in your life. Look at the people who've come and gone in your life and how they've affected your life. And I think you're probably going to find you've had quite a few soulmates. Soulmates doesn't necessarily mean the love of your life.
No.
But lots of people, that's the way we're taught it. So lots of people do think that way.
They do, and I think a lot of that.
So I suppose we've got to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that.
Love is in the air. Well,
Right,
for other people, it's a bit tumbleweedy yesterday for me, is all I can say.
Right, the whole song from start to finish.
No, I'm not. I'm so not doing that. We're running out of time. We've got a minute to go.
You're such a wuss. Everyone, if you're wondering about your soul connections, just look around you. Look at everyone who's affected you, everyone that's popped in, popped out, but it's had a profound effect in your life or brought something into your life. That is your soulmates. That's your soul connections. And your soul family. Probably. For lack of a better word, soul family.
Yeah, I'd go with that. Yeah, I'd go with soul spiritual family.
Soul tribe. That would work as well.
Yeah.
For tonight, we are finished. Thank you, Kerry.
You're very welcome.
For singing to us all.
Oh, so you all love it.
Yeah, we do.
I might do more of that, singing that is.
Right.
No?
You're not doing live feeds and singing on the same day.
Oh, God, you ruin all my fun.
Unless you sing on a live feed, then we'll all join in for that.
Oh, live karaoke feed. How about that one?
On Parasearch Radio. That could sound well. Anyway, everyone, thank you for listening to the show. And remember, you can follow Parasearch Radio on Facebook, of course. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube. And remember, we have shows 6 days a week. Tomorrow night, it's going to be Mark, Kerry, and myself for the Dark Mirror show. And we're looking at
The Chinese Zodiac.
the Chinese Zodiac.
What zodiac are you? Do you know?
Haven't a clue.
Oh, we'll have to work that out before tomorrow night.
Yeah, I was going to, but I just had a busy kind of week. So thank you all for listening, and we will say good night. Say good night, Kerry.
I'll say good night, Kaz. Thank you for having me on.
Good night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.